I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
Welcome back to the Pitch Please podcast. I am your host, straight from the West Coast, Coco Crisp, aka War Daddy, aka Mr. Steal Your Bag, and now the 6'2" fool, because I have gained a 6 tool that is clairvoyance. I'm here with my brother in arms, aka my bro host, Mr. Jack Glasscock. How are we doing, Jack?
That's a new one there, Corky. We
If
talked
you know,
about
you
Lance
know.
Butler calling him L butt. I don't know if we're gonna be able to fly with Jack Glasscock?
Well, Connor, if you don't know, and if you don't know your baseball history, old Jack was a renowned pitcher in the early 1900s. Look it up. Jack Glasscock, baby. Jokes aside, I don't know. Couldn't tell you. I need to do some more research. I looked up, actually, before the show, I looked up, all truth laid out, the 10 weirdest names in baseball history, and Jack made the list.
And Coco Crisp was number 9?
Actually, he was number 1. I didn't think he would be, but on that list, he was number 1, and the wife calls me Coco, so it seemed fitting. Either way, we're back. The brothers Ventura. I'm the oldest brother, Corey. All jokes aside, here with
The human ring delay, a.k.a. Jack Glasscock, a.k.a. Connor Ventura. You can call me Connie Bats.
That's what we want to call you, because you are the Bat King, and you are the one who lays the lumber.
I lay the lumber, baby. 2x4. That's what they call me.
2x4. I like that. Well, Connie, it's good to be back, man. It's been a few days since we've been on here, and I'm excited to chat some ball. That's what we're here for every day and every night. And what's on the docket for today?
Well, Corey, we've been talking a lot of ball, and that's what this podcast is all about. This is a baseball podcast, Pitch Please podcast, Triple P.
Hello.
Not a singing show, not a soccer football show, but a baseball show. So I do want to just do a quick around the horn of the league, just kind of get a quick temperature check on how some of the teams are doing, some surprises, some certainties that are confirming the reality that we thought they would. And then we can dive into a very, very special topic. It's going to be our first baseball movie deep dive. That being the 1993 classic by Daniel Stern, Rookie of the Year.
I'm excited, man. That one's near and dear to our heart. Definitely grew up on that movie and many similar during that time. So I'm excited to take a deep dive. Funky butt loving, man. It's just going to be a funky good time.
I developed a very intricate scale to grade all of our movie reviews. That way there's consistency across the board, and we're not just being like, yeah, it was pretty good. I liked it. We're going to be more like, yeah, this is a perfect 27.
I like it.
And that'll make more sense when I explain the scale to you. But a perfect 27 is what you're going for.
Perfect 27. Okay, yeah. I'm not a math major by any means. That's not my strong suit. But, carry the 1, and I'm sure we'll get to 27.
A perfect Mike Trout, if you would.
Oh, that sounds beautiful. Mike Trout of old, really.
He's doing okay. I think he's
home runs. Yeah, no, he's doing well. I mean, let's just get into it.
How about the Halos?
How about them Halos? I mean, living on a prayer.
Like that. I like that, actually.
Our
next movie review will be Angels in the Outfield.
I love that. I was just going to go there. That is also a top movie of mine in the baseball realm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. But let's stick in there. Let's stick into like some of the top storylines right now for I guess the first half. Wait, 1.5 weeks into the season, 2 weeks in the season, basically somewhere in there. And let's stick in LA first, and let's just start by
Shocker. You want to start
staying. Yeah, that's weird, right? But since we're in LA, I just want to follow your coattails and just say the Dodgers stink. They're dead. Okay.
I think it's time to panic, Corey. I think it's time to hit that alarm button.
Yeah.
The flashing lights should be sounding right now, and
Yes. Sell, baby, sell.
they need to get rid of Otani right now and just call it a day.
Thank you. I'm glad we're on the same page. That guy stinks. Clearly, the season's over. And I just wanted to address that really quick. I guess we can move on from the Dodgers now.
Well, I do want to talk about the Doyers real quick because they started out in 8-1. Our friend John Boy, he had a bet down saying that they're going to be the first team to 10 wins. They still might be, but all of a sudden, they're kind of hitting some skid marks over there on the East Coast, playing in the cold.
Shout out to our sponsor, Dude Wipes.
Yeah, absolutely, and Kmart. But it's so early, and that's just going to be the theme of the pod. It's so early, but still, there's some important things going on with the Dodgers. They don't have a center fielder. Andy Paez has really struggled. Some strange injuries already piling up. Freddie Freeman, what was he doing in the shower? Up, who knows?
Freddie needs to start taking baths first and foremost. Like with ankles that fragile, baths are the next move, buddy. I'm 37. I do it from time to time now. It's quite enjoyable and relaxing. You can get just as clean with a nice bath and a little bath bomb. Really just de-stress, soak the ankle. Come on, Fred, we need you, man. Work smarter, not harder.
It's kind of the cycle of life. You're born taking baths, and you go out of this world taking baths.
Yeah, there's a lot to that. I think there's a lot of truth in that, my man. That was deep.
Yeah.
But to your point, really quick, I just want to touch on this. Yeah, the Dodgers do not have a perfect lineup. Center field is definitely a position that is leaving some production to be desired for sure. Now we can plug and play, but we need a quintessential center fielder who plays center field 24/7, who can bat over 220, 230. I know.
Here's an idea. Just put Mookie Betts out there, man.
That's what I'm saying. That's the plug and play thing. You could put a couple players that are already on the field out there and do the job, but then you shuffle players around. What do you bring up? Kim to second base, move Miggy Rowe to short. I think that's a viable option for sure. But I think there's some young talent that could fill in just as well in center field besides Pages and Outman. It could be let's take a risk on some youth. Zaire Hope, DePaula, bring up some sage, wisdom and playing experience in Eddie Rosario and shift some people around. There are options, but they're struggling there for sure. And listen, Kike is really struggling. We know like his claim to fame is postseason production and stuff like that, but boy, he's got a rough start. But he does have 3 home runs though, so I think those were his only 3 hits of the season, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's interesting so far seeing that team away from the friendly confines of Chavez Ravine.
I agree.
Maybe it's just a blip on the radar when they leave, or maybe it's a sign of things to come that they could be struggling on the road this year. Like I said, still too early to tell, but in all seriousness, I don't think it's time to panic out there yet.
Not
they
at
have
all.
a lot of talent, and but hey, I tell you what, man, NOS, that's going to be a fun division. We talked quite a bit about the Giants. I think they're surprising some people, and I don't think they're surprising us.
No.
I mean, they have a really good squad out there, and that's the best pitch in baseball to pitch at, man, and they're showing it with Verlander and Logan Webb.
Yep.
Todd from Breaking Bad.
Todd from Breaking Bad is, more of a killer than people think. That's for sure. I will say
kids.
That's what I'm saying. And then the Padres kind of are who we thought they were. Like always dangerous, always good the last half decade, and here they are again. So yeah, the NL West is everything we thought it was going to be, and it's going to be interesting how it continues to play out. But
Watch out for the Rockies.
We won't. But for the sake of the rest of the baseball fans here, we will move on from the West Coast. And is there anything in particular in the last 5-6 days that you want to talk about that just happened around the league?
I think the torpedo bat situation's died down a little bit. I think the media went ahead and absolutely beat that horse to death and then buried it, dug it back up, and then beat it to death again. So I think that is almost now a non-story, in my opinion. Maybe I'm just blanking out the noise, though. What do you think?
You know, brother, I'm going to respectfully disagree with you on it not being an issue, but I do think a lot more people in the industry hold the same opinion that you do, that it's a non-issue. I personally don't agree with that still, but I still also think that there's more data that needs to be extrapolated. I don't think there's been enough time. My whole thing is, and I don't think I went into this far enough the first time we talked about it, and I'll just leave it here. My thing is, if it turns a bad player into a decent or average player, turns an average player into a good or better player, it should not be in the game. Or if it is, let steroids be in the game finally.
I've always wanted steroids in the game. I want to see how far the human body can possibly hit a baseball.
Exactly, because what I keep hearing from the league and other people is like, oh, it brings in viewership, it brings in, money. And if that's all we're talking about, then so does steroids.
I mean, that's why we're doing the podcast, for money.
I'm bloated now, aren't you?
Exactly.
I mean, this changed my life, so.
Please like and subscribe.
Please, somebody just comment one thing that we could talk about. I'm really even trying to make comments right now that are a little bit controversial to get a little bit of action in the comment section, please.
Very nice. Very nice.
But
dude,
one thing I will say.
Sure.
Oh, can I just say, it really made me reflect on all sports a little bit, this torpedo bat thing. And I started thinking deep about this, and I know you are the golf daddy now, probably going to be joining the tour soon. You're getting pretty darn good.
Masters this week.
There you go. And I was thinking about sports that I do and don't like so much. No offense to people out there. But I started seeing a bit of a correlation in that I'm not a big tennis guy. And you have a tool that's a racket. I'm not a big golf guy. You have a tool that's a club. And then I started thinking about my love for baseball. And I'm like, do I just need to go back to loving soccer the most when you're just using your darn feet? Because I think things get a little bit weird when you implement a tool and you're able to manipulate that tool to fit your body or your style of game. And then that affects the play of the game itself and then the statistics of the game. Now, I know with golf, it can't be any other way. But baseball is an interesting one to me where... Do you get what I'm kind of getting at?
Yeah, you're getting all philosophical on me, and I do appreciate that because you are the cerebral one of the brothers Ventura.
I don't know about that one.
Shout out to the third brother, Carson Jack the Ripper Ventura, who's not on this podcast, but maybe will be one day.
Shout out, Jack.
I see where you're going with that. And you are trying to equate the torpedo bat thing, which you tend to love as a story more than I do, to steroids. And I don't think that the correlation's there necessarily, to be honest with you. Because steroids gives you human strength ability to be strong and recover, more importantly.
But also to make it...
is moving some of the meat of the bat down the handle.
But do both not also allow a mistake to turn into a home run? Like you could hit the ball a little less on this quote-unquote sweet spot, but because you're on PEDs, that ball might go a little bit further than it would have before. Or you slightly miss the barrel of the bat, but because you move the barrel of the bat slightly down on the shaft of the bat itself because of your swing style and the ergonomics of your body, that ball then goes out.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And, in betting apps in Vegas are taking notice. If you play fantasy baseball, which we do, you'll notice that there's an icon next to players who use torpedo bat.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it is really interesting. And so if Barry Bonds back in the day, did he have like a little syringe next to his name?
No, it's a fair point. And so my only thing is, just simply put, it's like, let's just say at the end of the year or halfway through the season, if the data is statistically significant, and then also you got to decide, what line is that? What is statistically significant to where you have to have the conversation, this is the torpedo bat era.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I would say. Keep it in the game.
I think we need like 5 years of empirical data before we even talk about that.
That's probably true, man, because you can't really go back and just look at 1 year of data. Like, let's say we looked at Jazz Chisholm for 2024, and now we look at him the first 3 weeks or 2 weeks of 2025. Even if we got the full year of 2025, it could just be that player had a bad year. He had some nagging injuries and a couple things like that led to those down numbers. So you're right. You probably need more than at least a year or two.
The worst case scenario for you is if Jurickson Profar came back, used a torpedo bat, and then won the World Series.
Good point. Yeah, I don't, my brain would know. I wouldn't want to know what to do with all that.
I mean, you would certainly be doing a soccer podcast this time next year if that happened. In all seriousness, though, man, I think, and this is such a boomer take, and I love boomers. Shout out to our boomer fans.
Shout out.
Shout out. I think they got to make these stadiums larger. Yankee Stadium is a joke down the right field line and the
Yeah.
entire right field porch. I get it's an advantage, and all the teams get to play there. But, dude, if you're hitting with a newspaper, I feel like some of these guys are getting it out of there.
314 is insane. Yeah,
It's insane, dude.
Well, our high school field was like 324 or something.
It is insane. Like, at least the Green Monster, which is short, is tall, and like San Fran's 24 feet tall because of Willie Mays, and Pittsburgh is short, but it's tall for Roberto Clemente. It's just like, dude, Yankee Stadium's like 7 feet tall. Like, it's ridiculous.
That opens up a whole new can of worms for, stadium consistency. Should stadium dimensions all be the same?
No,
But-
nope. It's one of my most. I think it's one of my favorite aspects of the game, similar to golf.
No, I like it, but
You're playing against the field. Like, it can't be that like much of a disadvantage. Like, remember when Houston had a hill in center field?
that was wild.
That was insane. And a light pole in the middle of the hill. You know,
But you're saying you kind of like it.
I like the different dimensions. I do, but you can't have it that short. You know what I mean? It is a freaking bandbox.
I say bring back the hill.
And if
maybe
you're an
throw in
outfielder
some-
in Yankee, and you know that they're going to rip your rip.
I think Houston should bring back the hill, and I think some other teams should do some unique designs. Maybe design a moat around the infield. I don't know. Let's get nuts.
Just a small little tidbit. I think it was Detroit. Shout out Tim Robinson. They finally removed the little dirt strip from home plate to the pitcher's mound.
Yeah, I remember that. Thank you for bringing that up.
And that was the last field to ever have that.
What was the point of having that? Do you know?
I don't know, but I feel like every field used to have it.
Yeah, you're right. Like the old timey fields. Yeah,
Yeah, you probably got some dirty skip off that.
probably.
Real quick, my Phillies pick for the World Series is looking great.
Looking really good.
Talking about seeing how far a human being can hit a baseball. Kyle Schwarber dang near hit the ball out of the stadium. That dude is a beast.
Yeah, he's a muscle hamster for sure, and that's what happens when you take a football player and put him on the baseball diamond, a la, Kyle Schwarber, Mike Trout. I'm sure there's a couple there's a whole bunch that I'm forgetting, but yeah, those muscle
Jack
hamsters.
Boson.
Jack Glasscock,
Yep.
all of them.
Of course, I mean Bo Jackson, but
That it.
Jack
Right.
Boson. That's pretty funny.
Maybe the greatest. That was good. Maybe the greatest athlete of all time. Shout out to Bo. Bo knows.
Yeah. We'll certainly discuss that up there with Jim Thorpe and
Yeah.
Rowdy Tellez.
Can you imagine if Bo had a torpedo bat? Boy.
I think he would legitimately kill somebody.
I think he might. Oh, man.
My NL Rookie of the Year pick thus far, off to a slow start, Dylan Cruz. I don't think he has a hit all year.
I think I saw him on base today. I didn't watch the whole game. I know he did strike out.
I mean, if they're playing the Dodgers, there's probably an error by the Dodgers to get on base.
Talk about some good defense. Yeah. 6 errors in the last 6 games. Good start to the season, but the second half of the start of the season has not been good in infield. And I always thought that was the Achilles heel of the Dodgers, but we won't talk on them anymore. Let's talk a little bit about Rookie of the Year again. And I want to talk about, I was going to say that we weren't going to talk about the Dodgers. I was going to bring up Roki Sasaki and what Eric Hosmer was accusing Roki Sasaki of doing in his first outing. What do you think about that?
What exactly did he accuse him of?
Doctoring the ball, didn't he?
I did not see that at all. I saw a lot of backlash on him allegedly crying from CC Sabathia and Jonathan LaCroix.
Listen, I'm going to say something right now. Men need to stop dissing men for crying. Men can cry. Boys can cry. Let it be said. Cry your heart out. I don't care. It means you're passionate. It means you care.
Absolutely. I like that a lot. No, I completely agree with you, man. But I also see where Jonathan LaCroix and CC Sabathia are coming from, too, at the same time.
Yeah, sure.
There's a time and place for everything.
Yeah.
With that, like a professional here, but also don't be afraid to show your emotions. So it's kind of a tough tightrope to walk, but yet here I am. Only God can judge, but yet here I am. No, dude, for all the fans of the show, I mean, I did a sensational sport of Roki Sasaki, and I called it. I said he's going to bounce back, and he did in Philly, and good for him, because there's only one the Dodgers got out there in Philly, and he went out there and walked on only 2 guys, which is good for him. 3-5 or 4 scoreless innings, maybe give up 1 run.
Yep.
Yeah.
1 run, 4 Ks, 4 innings. Not terrible. A little bounce back for him, a little confidence builder for sure. And I want to do one thing real quick. I know we talked about all the awards in episode, was that 4? Connor is already getting the Short King Award for the season for editing all these shorts in our illustrious podcast. So we're going to do, I think a couple episodes from now, we're going to do an award ceremony. So please stay tuned for that. It will be live at a gala.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We should do that. I would love to do a gala. We should do a live pod one day too. My next short is just going to be Minecraft. It's not going to be anything to do with baseball. It's just going to be Minecraft.
That might get probably 1 million views. So
it would get 1 million views. That movie's absolutely blown up, and it's way more popular than baseball.
Shout out to Jack Black, hero of ours and friend of the pod.
Dude, if he was a friend of the pod, that'd be awesome.
We do. Never mind. I was going to say something. Anyways. Let's talk about a couple things that are happening before we get into the movie that we want to break down. I do want to talk about Vlad Guerrero Jr. What do you think about that situation?
Swing and a miss again on the Condors part. I went on record. Everyone heard it. Everyone saw it. Everyone's saying it. That he was not going to stay in Toronto. And behold, he is certainly staying in Toronto for $500 million. I said, Vlad, hold out for $600 million because you can get it, brother.
He could have.
And he said no. And hey, look, Toronto finally got someone to take their $500 million. They've been trying for years.
They've been trying to give it away.
And they're keeping a homegrown product. They were literally trying to give anyone $500 million.
You know, I'm proud of Toronto. They finally had to, have a big boy conversation with Drake and say, Drake, we cannot have you in these negotiations or it's going to go south. And I think the proof is in the pudding, a $500 million pudding, but it's there. And look, Connor, what I like about you is you stay in the box and you swing, baby. Don't get discouraged. Keep swinging.
I mean, eventually I'm going to get one right. A broken clock is right twice a day.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Which is not true. It's actually right once a day. That's a stupid saying.
Yeah, that is a stupid saying. I had to do, carry the one. You're right again.
Yeah. I actually partook in quite a bit of Toronto Blue Jay action in honor of this contract signature over the weekend.
You are a big fan, as you admitted to the first episode.
I like the Blue Jays.
I know you do. And the unis.
Yeah, and thanks to MLB Network, friend of the pod, I can listen to the local broadcast.
With a VPN?
No, dude, just straight up with legally, non-pirated. I do not sail the 7 seas. And their play-by-play guy is Dan Schulman, I think is his last name. He used to be the ESPN guy.
Oh, yeah,
He is the voice of just a god.
Really?
Wonderful voice to listen to. I really enjoy the Blue Jays podcast. They got, I think, swept by the Mets, and that was tough. But, man, I like the Blue Jays, and I think they're off on the right start there. I really like watching Chris Bassett pitch. He's going to go out there, and he's going to throw 90, 91, 92 miles per hour. But he throws like 7 pitches. And so these guys have no idea what's coming, and he's just a true pitcher. He's out there like not throwing. He's out there pitching, and it's a pleasure to watch. I highly recommend it. Chris Bassett, the dog, the Bassett Hound.
But the Bassett Hound with a cornucopia of pitches coming at you, and you don't know what's coming at all.
Yep. And he feasts over there in Citi Field because they're playing in New York, and he's a former Met as well, dude. And
wow.
If you ever catch a Blue Jays game, just let me know.
Yeah, no, I do. I catch them from time to time on MLB Network, and I have nothing against the Jays. I'm a Jays guy too, and I want to see them do well. I mean, what else? I mean, we already talked about Profar. I mean, I don't want to go back to torpedo bats, but Fergie Jensen. I don't know if you know who Fergie Jensen is, but look him up. Fergie Jensen predicts torpedo bats will boost batting averages over time. Hall of Famer.
Wasn't there a pitcher in the 70s named Fergie Jenkins?
That's Leroy Jenkins. I don't know. Should we just move on to the movie? I think that's what everyone came for.
Yeah. I do have a couple things real quick, though.
Oh, go ahead.
The Cubs and Padres series was a lot of fun. Those teams are very evenly matched, and it was freezing cold at Wrigley with the wind blowing straight in. And so, dude, balls were just getting knocked down. But the games were still like 8-7, 9-8, stuff like that. A couple blown saves here and there from both sides.
both teams are doing a lot on the base paths, and that explains some of the runs, man. They're putting a lot of pressure on teams, and I think that was, a fun matchup based on that to see them do that on each other.
Yep, and I was pretty locked in on that series as well, because I love watching games at Wrigley. And I saw a very sad stat that I do have to share with you on our boy Pete Crow Armstrong. Did you see this one?
No, talk to me.
Pete Crow Armstrong, for those who don't know, aka White Lightning, one of the fastest guys in the league, and like the Cubs' probably top prospect, who's now in the show, like he's in the league. He has a 0% barrel rate for the season.
And he's not using a torpedo bat?
I don't think so. But if anyone could benefit just to put a bow on this torpedo bat situation, it'd be Pete Crow Armstrong. That guy has to barrel up one ball. I mean, that's insane.
Let me call Steve Marucci real quick. We'll get him hooked up.
Call Steve Marucci. Call whoever you want.
I'll call someone.
Yeah. But hey, no, seriously, the Cubs did rebound, and they took 2 or 3 games from the Padres at home. And good for them, because I think they had a tough draw at the gate with playing Dodgers in Tokyo, playing the D-backs, playing in Oakland. They handled the Athletics pretty well. Not Oakland. Oh, my gosh. R.I.P. Sacramento.
R.I.P.
And then they finally went home to Wrigley, and they took 2 or 3 from the Padres. So I like that Cubs team still, even though they got out of the gates kind of stumbling.
Yeah, we liked them from the beginning, and they're kind of probably settling in a little bit more. And like you said, they kind of had a challenging start to the season. So, and I'm very appreciative of them, chipping away at the Padres a little bit. But speaking of Cubs, what is one of your favorite baseball movies of all time, Connor? What makes you get in the feels a little bit? What brings a little nostalgia to you?
Corey, nothing brings nostalgia to me than the actor Daniel Stern, who is also the director of this movie, but he's also the pitching coach in the movie.
Which, Connor, I actually found out after watching the movie this morning and doing a little bit of research. And lo and behold, I also found out a fun fact that he is also the director of the Home Alone movies and also played Marv, the sticky wet bandit, which is incredible to me. It blew my mind. So I'm very excited this morning talking about that.
Yeah. Okay, so before we dive in here, 1993 Rookie of the Year. Here's the premise, okay? 12-year-old Henry Rowengartner breaks his arm, the tendon heals too tight, intense Cubs fan, goes to the game, someone hits a home run, he's in right field, and the Cubs' routine and tradition is to throw the home run ball back. And so he grabs it after being berated by 3 large men and almost beat up by them, which is kind of a crazy scene. And he throws it, and his arm snaps because the tendon healed too tight, and he threw it all the way to home plate like 135 miles per hour or something like that. And so then the Cubs sign him, and he ends up having a little miracle season. And you'll have to watch the movie to see the end of it, or we can review it here. So that's the synopsis there. All right.
Yep.
Now let's talk about my grading scale, because we're going to use the same grading scale for all the movies we review. You ready? Yeah, pay attention.
Ready, baby.
Okay, so there are 5 categories or criteria.
Should I take notes? Just kidding.
Yeah, you might want to. Number 1, acting and vibes. Okay. And that's going to be graded from 1 to 5. Number 2, realism, graded from 1 to 5.
I like it.
Number 3, respect the game, graded from 1 to 5, as in, is it making a mockery of the game? Does it understand how baseball's played?
Yeah.
Number 4, rewatchability, 1 through 5. And last but not least, did it dong, 1 through 7, as in, is it a home run of a movie?
Connor, that is an incredible scale there. I took notes of everything. I have that perfectly laid out here, so thank you for that. I have the rubric for the rest of the movies going forward. I find some of the categories almost interrelated, but we'll get into that later. Like the realism one. I'm really thinking about like my top 10 favorite baseball movies. I can't think of one of them that actually seems real, to be honest with you.
It's pretty real.
Low and outside, except for the low and outside pitch is not low and outside at all. Isn't that wait? Did you say high and outside or low? It's the reverse.
High and outside, just like I like it.
Yeah, and isn't it low and inside? I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Anyways, I love
and
the
Darth
scale.
Vader's the neighbor too. That's cool.
That's pre-Darth Vader.
Oh yeah. So this is right after he just killed the younglings.
Yes, and he went back to Earth, and he was kind of reeling from that, and he was like going through a lot of mental strife and contemplation. Just so happened that those kids were playing in his backyard in the sandlot, and he was getting really annoyed by all those home runs going over his fence. At the same time, he had a dog that was having a lot of hip issues that he was having to take to the vet a lot. While he was at the vet, he got parvo, hence why he was drooling so much. So Darth was under a lot of pressure during the Sandlot, and a lot of people don't know that.
Well, I think the premise of Sandlot is that I'm blanking. What's the main character's name?
Oh my! I thought we were talking about Rookie of the Year.
I know, but I just want to finish this up. Anyways, the main character moves in, and they have a spot on the team because the kid moved away. Dude, I mean, Darth Vader definitely had to quench his thirst, and he probably killed one of the kids. Is what happened.
Yeah, you didn't see behind the scenes?
I did see Sandlot 2. Dude, Sandlot 2 is not bad.
Why do you think none of the original characters were in the second one? Because they all died from Darth Vader.
There's a babe, though, in Sandlot 2, I will say that. And like, that is not me as now, but me as in when I was 10 years old, you know?
Dude, she was a babe. Are you talking about pool hotties? Is that what they say? Pool hotties? What do they say there?
You're talking about Wendy Peppercorn.
Yeah, Winnie Peppercorn, of course. My darling
I'm talking
lover
about
girl.
Sandlot 2, which is a superior movie.
Wow. I think I need it.
I'm just kidding.
Kind of like Dumb and Dumber 2, right?
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's talk about Rookie of the Year. That's why we're here. This is what the
Yes.
fans screamed in for. Great scene. You can tell that they filmed it in Chicago. Probably not during baseball season, probably during winter. It's a little chilly during a lot of the scenes. And it's just so nostalgic. 1993. I was 17 years old in 1993, you know? And it's just something that you love to see. There's no advertisements on the wall at Wrigley. You know, it's just bare bones baseball, no frills. And I like to see that. And
Just baseball,
Go ahead.
bricks, and ivy. That's all you need, man.
and baseball steaks with Chet Steadman.
Chet Steadman, man.
The Rocket.
The Rocket played by none other than Gary Busey.
Gary Busey.
I mean, man, listen. You got to have the have to, as you would always say.
Yeah.
There's a difference between the want to and the have to.
Gary Busey brings the movie up for me in the acting vibes category.
Of course.
Honestly, because without this, there's not a lot of star power in this movie, a la Angels in the Outfield.
True.
You know?
True.
Danny Glover's not in Rookie of the Year, as we discussed last episode.
Yes.
That is not Danny Glover.
Shout out to our producer.
Yeah. And Gary Busey, I mean, of course, just plays that washed vet and gives off that vibe in such a nice way, you know?
Yep.
Been there, done that, hates the rookie, especially the kid, and just been there, done that, and he's used up, and he's a has-been, and he's kind of over it, but he probably has the most realistic arc in the entire movie.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a lot of realistic arcs. I mean, the kid came in and whatever, we'll talk about it. But, you know, I really like Chet Steadman a lot.
Yeah, this movie doesn't really base too much on reality, but like you said, Chet would be the closest anchor to reality that we have in the movie there. Now, I don't want to gloss over Thomas Ian Nicholas as the main character, as Henry Rowengartner, a.k.a. Henry Rosenbagger, a.k.a. Henry... What else we got? He had a whole bunch of nicknames for the coach. There were some good ones.
Rosenbagger, Gardenhoser.
Gardenhoser! The coach. I don't know who played the coach, but the coach deserves an award, that's for sure, with all the names that he came up with. But I want to give Daniel Stern another shout out. I had no idea that he also played Phil Brickman. The relief pitcher, right? With a whole bunch of chew in his mouth and chawed, everything like that.
He is so funny.
So funny.
And so Daniel Stern, the director of the movie and the actor, he kind of takes Henry Gardenhoser under his wing, since everyone else is being really mean to him in the clubhouse. And, dude, Daniel Stern's like this kind of deranged, not all there guy, but he means well. And, dude, his hijinks absolutely make the movie. When he gets stuck in the closet, hilarious. Little help here.
Little help here. What about when he's taking batting practice and he just fouls everyone straight up and it hits him in the head every time?
So good. And then when they're at the club celebrating like the win or whatever, and they go up to the two women, and they're like, "Excuse me." He just waits for him to move. Oh, excuse me.
Dude, he is actually probably my favorite character in the movie. And let's be honest, like if I'm really thinking about the whole Home Alone series, I mean, he might be my favorite character in that movie. And I did not know that he was an actor and a director, producer. So
No.
I'm impressed, man.
I had no idea at all. And so to cap it off, first category, acting vibes. To cap it off, first category, acting vibes. I give it a solid 4 for Chet Steadman, Gary Busey, and Daniel Stern as Brick whatever, the pitching coach.
Yep. And the scale's out of what again? How many? 4 out of
5.
what? Oh, not bad. Okay. And the next category you'd rate?
Well, what'd you rate it? The acting acting and vibes.
For me, the acting was 3.5.
Okay, well, make sure you record that on your side.
Oh, it's recorded here, baby.
I know, but we're gonna have to review this at the very end for the total number.
Got it.
While you look for your pen and paper, the realism, it's difficult for me, but that's part of the nostalgia. Why did they end the movie on them winning the NLDS, or was it the last game of the season? Like they clinched the pennant, and then at the very end they have the shot of him with his World Series ring.
Yeah, in the breakdown, a lot of people comment on that right here, and it says the Cubs win. Henry retires from baseball, goes back to being a regular kid, wiser, stronger, and still wearing a Cubs World Series ring. They wouldn't actually win until 2016 in real life, but that's a different story for another day.
But they didn't even film the World Series.
I know, it's an interesting progression. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, because they played the Mets or whatever.
I guess we have to just assume some things here that they made it past and made it into the World Series and won, but they didn't give it to us correctly. But maybe we could hit up David Stearns. They might be in the works of a sequel right now in 2025, 2026 to show the World Series game with Henry bringing the heat.
Sure. Yep. The realism is hilarious. I mean, I have to give that a solid 1 just because, it was probably the first Tommy John of all time, I would say, that Henry Gardenhoser got.
Yeah.
But he threw like 200 miles per hour.
I mean, when you're throwing that fast, that candle's going to burn out a lot quicker than other ones, that's for sure. But on that note, I think you're right, Connor. A lot of modern day, real life MLB pitchers owe a lot of credit to Henry kind of leading the way for their surgeries. I mean, there's guys out there having 2 or 3 these days. Like, shout out to Henry.
He's a trailblazer. He's a trailblazer in a way. And when the Cubs are scouting him or whatever, like before he signs, I think he lights up the gun, the radar gun at 98 or 99.
Yep.
Dude, if you're throwing 98, 99 and it's straight, doesn't have any movement, that's going to get absolutely housed. All right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And we saw that happen to Henry, hence that. Plus, he started losing some of that juice, and he had to mix up his repertoire of pitches, and he came in with the ephus, the underhand ephus, and, you got to get creative.
Just to put the bow on my second category of realism, absolutely hilarious that the twist in the movie was the mom was actually the athlete of the family. That's the twist. It's like, oh, the mom is an athlete. That's not... Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I think that's...
Why didn't she just tell him?
Yeah. Connor, that is interesting. I never really thought about that, to be honest. The dad was kind of a deadbeat.
It was kind of a slice. It's kind of like the slice of the 90s, It's just not possible for this woman to be athletic. Not at all, and so the only solution could have been that she slept with this professional baseball player. And
that's how it turned out.
And that's what they rolled with for an hour and a half. And then she's like, no, actually, I used to be pretty athletic. And they're like, what?
When there was a scene in the beginning of the movie where she throws him something, right? They're they're heading to the baseball game and they pass each other. What did she throw him?
I think it's his glove or something.
His glove. I knew from that moment, the girl can play.
the girl's an athlete.
Suit her up, man.
Yeah. But that was my, one of my favorite tidbits was just there's no way this mom could be an athlete at all. Wait, it is. She is an athlete.
Daniel Stearns, man. Genius.
Yeah.
Friday.
So I got to give the realism a solid 1.
I am also staying at a 1 with the realism. I think the only thing saving the realism for me is the stadium itself. That's about it.
Yeah. And the fact that they fixed the boat, too, that was pretty wild. I mean, how'd they... engineer that engine by themselves and got it working. That was pretty cool.
Movie magic in the 90s, baby.
All right, number 3, respecting the game. Do you think Rookie of the Year respected the game of baseball?
I can't say that it did too well, in my opinion. um, it made some baseball players look like scrubs in some ways. Kind of wash-ups, if you will. Maybe raging alcoholics. Also, the fact that there's a 12-year-old on the field in general. I mean...
I don't know, dude. I mean, some of these guys they bring over from the Dominican Republic and stuff, they're like 15 years old now.
That's a good point. So again, maybe Henry was a trailblazer. Who
And
knows?
let me just provide you some counterpoints real quick.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
All right. It's okay that he was young. You know, in realistic baseball and like everyday world baseball, you see like a position player come in if someone's getting blown out, and they usually do okay because they're throwing really slow. If Henry Rowengartner goes in there and he's just throwing lollipops, I bet you some guys would struggle to hit like the slow pitch softball style arc.
I think you're right. I think there's something to be said about that. Yeah, that's a good point, Connor.
As a Cubs fan, do you hate this movie though? Especially pre-2016 when they won the World Series?
Yeah, I'd be interested to hear from the Cubs fans. What do you guys specifically think of the movie? What was your experience in the 90s when you watched it? How did you feel before and after? And what did it do for the fandom? I would be interested to know. And I would be, wanting to ask the Angels fans the same things for their movie. Man, it'd be nice if every team had their own movie, too. Seems like those two teams do. What other movies has their own? Or what other team has their own movie? In
Dodgers is kind of Sandlot. And the Indians, a.k.a. the Guardians, have Major League.
Now that... Well, I don't think we need to get into it right now, but I wanted to talk about some of your other favorite movies, and that's up there on my list. Major League is definitely on my list.
Mr. Baseball? Sorry.
Yeah, true.
Yep.
So speaking
So
of...
look, some of the players looked a little washed up. The Dodgers pitcher was like legitimately 47 years old, and he was like 275 pounds. That was a little bit ridiculous.
I mean, Vlad Guerrero's 240.
Sabathia was like 300 pounds.
But yeah, that's true. So it's not impossible.
I mean, all in all, I think they pretty much hit it on the nose with
I'd say
respecting
so.
the game. I don't think you could respect the game more in my book.
I like that take, Connie. I'm gonna graciously pass that one to you.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a 3.
I'm sticking with a 1 still.
We really got to get your chair fixed.
You can still hear that? That's unfortunate.
It is so
Sorry, folks.
loud.
Wow. We'll edit that out, folks.
It's not good for our Audible only listeners on Spotify and Apple Music.
It's so unfortunate that you can hear it and I can't.
Well, hey, you know what? Ignorance is bliss, brother.
It is living that dream right now.
Yeah. Number 4, rewatchability. You know, this is not one of my favorite movies, to be honest, baseball wise. I like it. I enjoy when I watch it, but I'm not craving to go watch it again. Unlike some movies we will discuss here shortly in future episodes. It has a nostalgia factor. It has a lot of funny moments, has some surreal moments that add to it. But it's just not something that kind of brings me back in. Like, I don't need to watch it every year before the season starts.
What year were you born again?
I was born in 94.
So this was out a year before you were even on this planet. So that
I was a glimmer in my father's eye.
You were, and I was just a lonely lad with no brothers. Barely 7 years old, still a young lad, impressionable.
Yeah. You're just doing some R&D on podcasts.
Yep, exactly. And so when this movie came out, I was around that ripe age to where it really was in the height of my childhood. And for me, there's a bigger nostalgia factor, I think. And as much as I've given this movie some pretty low grades, the watchability, because of the nostalgia factor for me, and I'm not expecting a lot of realism out of it, is a little bit higher than I would say. And so the rewatchability factor for me is probably a 5. Just makes me happy.
Makes you happy. That's good. So you enjoyed watching it this morning.
I did actually. And I actually didn't watch it this morning. I don't know why I said this morning. I watched it a couple days ago, but...
Did you even watch it?
I did. Remember we were talking about this. I watched it actually before we even thought about doing this specific episode. I think I watched it like 2 weeks ago. It was on MLB Network. maybe even a week and a half ago. But then I rewatched it after, and I enjoyed it a lot. It makes me, again, just to simply put, happy.
Did you watch it with your wife or were you by yourself?
By myself, both
I'm
times.
curious what her thoughts would have been.
I don't even know if I can make her watch it.
It's that good.
It's that good. I mean, it's a tearjerker, and I just don't want to put her through that,
Yeah.
The hyper realism might make her break.
See, I watched it with my wife. Shout out my wife. Great gal. And she was the one that really pointed out so is the twist that the mom is the athlete? And so before then, we talked about ignorance is bliss. I was just I was trying to mansplain the whole thing. You know what I mean? And she's like, so the twist is a woman's an athlete. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess it is.
Man.
And so I was kind of just going with it. And I'm a girl dad. That's not good.
That's not good. But, shout out to the wife because they are the stronger sex for sure. And that's a prime example of why they're also the smarter sex.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think so. I'm going to give this a solid 3 rewatchability.
I respect that. I appreciate you because you were going to give it a 2 and I saw you tussling there and you're like, you know what? For the wife, I'm going to give it a 3.
Yeah. Fun fact. I'm a big fan of the non-baseball scenes in the movie. Like, I like when they go to school, and I like when they build the boat.
Yeah.
And when, God, what's the villain's name? Shoot, I'm blanking. I think it's hilarious. Jack Bradfield.
Jack Bradfield, dude.
That is a classic 90s villain, so I do like that.
He does the little shake in the box, right? When he gets in there, the hip wiggle. Does he do that?
No. I'm talking about the financial, like the stepdad.
Oh, the stepdad. I thought you meant the guy in the White Sox that he faced, right?
That guy's hilarious.
Yes.
I love that guy. Like when he hits his first dong off of Henry, he's like, wah,
Wah!
he's so intense.
So intense. Oh man, just talking crap to a 12-year-old.
He's really good.
Yeah, that guy's
I
still
might
a show.
give the acting vibes a 5 after that, honestly.
Yeah, in reflection, I mean, that guy nailed it.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
And this was filmed in Chicago, and I'm a big fan of the show Workaholics. And Durs from Workaholics?
Of course, yeah. Great show.
This was his debut acting job. Yeah, he's in the background because they filmed it at his middle school or like high school or whatever when he was a kid.
No way.
And so he's in the background. So they talked about it a lot on their pod.
Nice little Easter egg find there, Connie Batts.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of their pod, TI Nation. Friend of the show, for sure.
Was Adam in the background too? Divine?
During this time, Adam was probably in a full body cast. Because if you don't know about Adam,
I did hear
he
about
got
that
hit
story.
by a cement truck when he was a kid.
Well, some people also call me a cement truck, but it wasn't me who hit him. It was a real life cement truck. So,
Well, when you think about it, if he was in a full body cast, imagine how good of an athlete he would have become.
oh, how fast he would be and how hard he could hit the ball. Like all his limbs moving so fast and strong.
Oh, man.
They
What would
should
be
have
the
added.
best sport?
He's going to be in the sequel.
Just as a 40-year-old man.
How funny would it be? They take this kid out of a full body cast and just runs out of the building, just fire behind him. Just can't. It's crazy.
That's essentially combining the rookie and the rookie of the year with Dennis Quaid. It's just
Yeah.
like you have the superpower, but you're also an older guy past his prime, whatever.
I think we need to stop talking about this and turn it into our own movie before someone else steals it. It sounds like an Oscar winner.
Anyways, I give it a rewatchability of 3. So for right now, before we get to the 5th category, I'm at a solid 4 plus 1 is 5, 3 is 8, and then we got 11. That seems really low.
I was gonna say I think I missed a category because I'm at 9.5.
Where'd you get the 0.5?
I gave a 3.5 on the first category.
Oh, using the Dewey Decimal System. I like that. Okay.
That's right.
So I'm at 11, and we got one more category, which is out of 7. Okay. And of course, that is, did it dong? Is it a home run of a movie? And that's open to interpretation.
It is. Because it depends on when you found it or it found you in your life. I think that it really adds to the level of dong.
Yeah.
And personally,
think
when
it
I found it dongs for me.
Yeah.
Because
Like Yankee Stadium, like short porch dong, or what are we thinking?
Yeah, I'm thinking short porch 314 dong.
Oh, wrap around the pole?
Yes, exactly. So for me, mainly because of the nostalgia factor, I'm going to say it dongs. Like Donkey Kong.
It dongs. And that is like a 5 out of 7, you'd say?
Yeah, that's a 5.
Okay. I think it dongs too. I think it's like one of those like routine fly balls in most stadiums that actually just went over the green monster, but still looks like a home run, unlike the little cheap shot home runs at Yankee Stadium, you know?
Like the fans still get out of their seats like, oh!
Yeah, because it's super high.
Yeah.
Like the Yankee Stadium ones are like, oh, I got jammed and it went 315 feet and it's a home run.
Exactly.
You know?
I feel you there.
At least the monster dongs are major dongs, you know? They're real.
And that means a lot coming from Jack Glasscock, I would say.
Exactly. So I'm going to give it a 4 on Did It Dong. It's not my favorite baseball movie, but I did enjoy it. And my wife enjoyed it.
And that's what matters right there. You guys can
And she has
watch
great
together.
taste.
That's all that needs to be said.
Exactly. So I'm going to add a 4 to this for a total score, Corey, of 15 out of the perfect 27. And that will be our first movie review. So what'd you get?
18.5.
Wow, you really brought up the rear there.
Yeah, I tried to, as the anchor leg here in this sprint.
Huh.
Again, for me, it's a nostalgia factor. I'm not saying it's realistic, hyper-realistic, even that, good. But just because I was a kid and that was the only thing on. And there weren't a lot of baseball movies to watch.
Well, I mean, you started off a little rocky, started off a little stern, like Simon Cowell, and then you kind of came back and you started being like Randy Jackson, be a little bit more lenient.
A little good cop, bad cop. You play the bad cop in the beginning and you become the good cop at the end.
Almost like Chet Steadman.
Nailed it. Boom.
Did they get Roger Clemens' nickname, the Rocket, from that?
We'll have to get him on the show to really confirm that. But rumors is yes, but I would like to confirm directly from the source and his mouth. So I know Mowgli's
I'd love to get Gary Busey on the show.
Mowgli's working on both. He sent an email to Gary just now, and then we're still waiting to hear back from Clemens. So there is a little family drama there.
All right. Well, hey, good to go. 15 out of 27. We are going to mark that right here, baby. And we are going to review more movies and see how they stack up to our first movie review Rookie of the Year with Henry Gardenhoser.
Rosenbacher.
Oh, dude, we didn't even talk about Funky Butt Loving.
I did in the beginning, but yeah, we should talk about that. I just didn't know if we could on the show because we're a PG podcast.
I mean, it's in the movie. It's not a caca word. Like, it's a fine word.
Isn't it interesting they were able to squeeze that into that movie and it's still a PG? That's pretty...
Am I missing some connotation here? Is it, like, bad or something?
I really don't want to go too far into it, but...
Really? I mean, were kids saying this when you were a young wee sow in the 90s?
Kids weren't saying it, but I will tell you, in high school, when we were teenagers, we were running around the field yelling stuff like that because of those movies. Yeah.
See, I
didn't know what Funky Butt Lovin' meant as a kid, to be honest with you. So
I thought it was like the movie The Christmas Story, where like the dad curses and it just sounds like gibberish words.
That's kind of how it was as a kid, yeah. But now looking back on it in hindsight, I'm like, wow, I don't know how they snuck that in there. That's a little risque.
I completely just looked at this with like rose-colored glasses. I was like, oh, that's a cute little like PG little curse word, I thought.
Yeah, nothing PG really about a male doctor saying that to a 12-year-old boy. I mean,
okay.
Let's just call it what it is.
Corey, I think you need to revisit your view on the world.
Probably true. It's been quite diluted here over the last couple of years, but still, I'm sticking on the Funky Butt Lovin' not being very PG.
Man, I completely missed that. I thought that was fun for the pod. You usually have to reel you in on that stuff, and I thought it was very, very family friendly, to be honest.
I still can't tell if you're joking, to be honest.
So. I swear to God.
Okay. Well, hey, agree to disagree.
How about people comment? Or maybe they shouldn't comment on this. I don't know.
Nah, definitely comment. We'll take anything we can get at this point. Please.
All right.
Somebody.
What are you looking forward to in baseball in the upcoming week?
Oh, man. Well, let me ask you this real quick before I get into that. Are we doing another movie breakdown on the next podcast, or are we actually getting serious about some real-life baseball stuff going on this next week?
Yeah, we're talking ball. We're scat shooting again.
Scat shooting.
Yeah, around the horn, whatever you want to call it. We're going to talk ball. The movie reviews, that's just a nice little caveat for the fans, a little Easter egg, just to kind of get away from baseball a little bit.
Yeah. So I guess I'm excited to see if the Yankees keep smashing the ball. I'm excited to see if Aaron Judge keeps doing what he's doing to start the season. For sure, that guy's on a tear right now. I'm excited to see how the NL West kind of materializes over the next week. I think one or two teams might get a 2 to 3 game head start and start pulling away, maybe. That might be the Padres or the Giants, to be honest. I'm excited also to see how far the Braves continue to bounce back. They really struggled at the beginning of the season, but they have 2 wins now, I think.
Yep.
And they were smashing the ball. And I know that wasn't going to be the Braves of the entire season to be losing like that in that fashion. So I think they're going to have a profound bounce back over the next week or two. And I'm interested to see how this torpedo bat conversation continues, either dies down or intensifies.
I'm curious if you would be so locked in on the torpedo bat if it had a worse name, if they called it like Sticky, like Stick Buddy, But torpedo bat's so cool and just like so alpha and metal.
I mean, I don't care. They could call it the bullet bat or they could call it the Nerf toy bat for all I care.
Doesn't even care. I like that.
Doesn't care.
Things I'm looking forward to, Corky Shimatsu. Thanks for asking. I was going to say the Braves as well. I'm excited to see if they can really start turning things around. They have a lot of talent on that team, and I think they just got off on the wrong foot multiple times and then got snake bitten. I'm excited to see what the Angels continue to do. Mm-hmm. They're kind of sneaky right now in the AL West. Not a lot of people are talking about them, but Trout is back. Ohapi is hammering balls, and the pitching's been really good, man. So maybe there's some juice over there in Anaheim, or sorry, Los Angeles, whatever.
No, you got it right.
I also, last but not least, how do the Rangers? Actually, not last but not least, second to last but not least, how do the Rangers continue to play? They have a negative run differential, but they have the best record in the AL at the same time. That's strange.
Well, how do you feel about that as a Rangers fan?
As a diehard Rangers fan, you could say that the data is skewed because of their 14-2 loss to the Reds. I mean, it's a lot of sample sizes go awry, but their bullpen is an issue in Texas here. I don't think you can trust Luke Jackson to be your closer in high leverage situations. I think they're going to need to supplement that bullpen for sure.
I agree with that. I'm also interested, not to interrupt, but to see how the Red Sox kind of bounce back. They didn't have the start of the season like everyone kind of thought and was kind of putting them up on this pedestal to maybe have. Devers has spun it around a little bit since the rough start, so he seems to be, in a corrective spot. And then also, I will say, I'm impressed by Christian Campbell still. I want to see if he can continue this, to be honest.
The plethora of contract extensions being signed by young players is really interesting. To recap, Lawrence Butler signed in the very beginning of the year for like 6 years. Not a lot of money. I mean, in the big picture, you know what I mean? It's a ton of money. Yep. But for the market, not a lot of money. Jackson Merrill signed.
That's one thing we should have touched on that at the beginning. Good point. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, Jackson Merrill signed. He's the stud center fielder for the Padres. I think a 9-year contract.
9 years, something like that.
Yep. And then
they're saying it was kind of team friendly too. I didn't really dive into it, but I heard Ken Rosenthal saying it was surprisingly team friendly.
Yeah, and then who was the person you were just talking about? The third person?
Christian Campbell.
Yeah, and so then he just got locked up long term too.
And so he's 22? It was really interesting to see how fast that materialized. I even watched an interview on him, and he was kind of alluding to the fact that, they were talking about it a little bit during the preseason, but since the season started, it ramped up real fast, and he wasn't expecting it to go that fast.
It's interesting to see the teams invest in their future and the players be willing to take on this extension now at this point in their career. Because if you look at other sports like football, these guys are waiting as long as possible to eventually get paid. Like, look at Micah Parsons, stuff like that. You know what I mean?
It's just the Cowboys, though, right?
That's true. And Jerry does his own thing. He does it for the press and media, whatever. But I heard from the Players Association or Players Union, whatever, that they were kind of dissuading Jackson Merrill and Christian Campbell from signing those contracts.
I heard rumors about that too. Maybe we should dive into that a little bit more next episode. Is do some more, research into some stuff surrounding that topic.
Yep, absolutely. I think that's good for episode 6. I think we're going to sign off here. I'm going to do my famous, "You're out of here."
I like that. I'm just going to do my arm dance.
I like that too. How are you going to hit the stop button?
I don't know. My nose?
You are out of here.
Peace out, everyone.
You're out of here. You're out of here.
There it is. We did it.
Are we done?
Yeah, we're done. 59 minutes, 19 seconds. Starting to upload now.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.